Yes. Welcome back to episode 313 of the Purple Rain podcast. The Chris Matthews, Chris Givens, John
Yeah.
Brown, Devin Duvernay, and
Ooh.
recently Devin Leary episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you for coming through, spending your Thursday evening, Friday Eve with us. A lot to talk about, and oh boy, a lot of good news to talk about as well. But first and foremost, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. This guy right here, Instagram, Twitter, X, Sutton Def. Me, Instagram, simply as10.prod. X, simply as10. And most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. Go on there, use code PRP for 20% off your whole order and free international shipping. The best deal on the internet. But man, a lot of good news to talk about. Fantastic news to talk about. But I gotta ask you, how's your week going? How are we doing? How are we feeling?
Feeling great. Feeling very good spirited. That's how I'm feeling right now. I mean, honestly, we're gonna get into the Rashod Bateman news in just a second here. But I feel like honestly the Ravens have been crushing this offseason. Just me personally, right? I can't speak for anybody else, but I think that the Ravens have been crushing this offseason. And I'm ready to get into it, but I do want to see who's here in the live chat. So far, we just got our guy K Dog, Mod K Dog, that is to you, says PRP is sponsored by Manscaped. Code PRP for 20% off your entire order and free international shipping. That is right, man. Use our code PRP on Manscaped. Get yourself 20% off. Make sure you look all nice and clean, smelling nice and clean, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, make sure you guys go ahead and sound off in the chat, the Rain Gang. I know you guys are in full effect tonight, as you guys are every episode. We appreciate, we love you guys. Make sure you like this video on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Maybe you actually just caught one of our YouTube Shorts videos that we put out frequently, and this is your first live stream that you're watching, or you're watching the replay of it. Shout out to you. Appreciate you for coming through. Hopefully, you enjoy the content you're about to consume. We do have a couple people here in the live chat who are sounding off now. Eli, the sports guy, says, "What's up, Rain Gang? What's going on, Eli? Appreciate you for popping out, coming through." We got Lisa Ann in the house. Says, "Hey, Alex and Sutton Def, bring back a third Super Bowl bomber, a Super Bowl Bombers way, please."
Yes.
Not exactly sure what the bomber. What is? Am I missing something there?
Yes, the way you say Baltimore, how some folks say Baltimore Bomber. If you want to
Is
say it
that so?
short,
Oh, I
it
didn't
is
hear
that.
about. I didn't know
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, news to me. Yeah, obviously I'm not. Very obviously I'm not from Baltimore. Actually, I'm from Southern Maryland. But my kid, I'll give a shout out to the hashtag Replay Gang. Of course, man. If you're not watching this episode 313 of the Purple Rain Podcast live, I'm part of the hashtag Replay Gang. Shout out to you as well. Make sure you like the video, and if you're new, subscribe. Real quick, before we get into anything else, I do want to give a quick shout out to the Flock Rundown, who we
Hmm.
did a collab stream with on Monday. That was a lot of fun. If you have not checked out that episode, make sure you go and check out that. We talked about a lot of OTA stuff, a lot of speculation, a lot of our predictions for what we think is going to happen with some of our players this the season coming up. So of course there's news that's come out since then, which we're going to talk about today, but we did still talk about a lot of good stuff on that episode. So make sure you check that out, and then also make sure you subscribe to the Flock Rundown as well. He's going crazy over there. We got to start bringing the Ravens YouTube community together again. We got to start doing that again. So yeah, be on the lookout for more of that type of stuff in the future.
Yeah. So, coming here, what we talked about today,
Yeah,
some big news coming out of Baltimore today. Like, really big news for us. Like, fantastic big news.
let us
Um,
know.
I'll tell you this, man. I'm sitting there and I have my Apple Watch. It goes off and it says we've agreed to a contract extension with R underscore Bateman too. Like, hold up, hold up. We talked about it. I think last episode with the Flock rundown. Like, he is severely underpaid coming off of the contract. He signed last year. It was a 3-year, $15 million extension. And we were talking about type of money some of these guys are getting. Receiver too comes out a 3-year, $37 million extension. I believe now his contract is like a 5-year, 47 under team control, which is insane market value when look and see what other guys are getting and just production of what he put up last year to what other guys put up to. Obviously, one season, a lot can change, but man, Rashad Bateman is not leaving Baltimore anytime soon. Cowboys, they came calling for him, wanted to trade for him. Not gonna happen. Any other team, not gonna happen. Bateman is here to stay in Baltimore, and I honestly can't be more happy. We do the like it, love it, hate it. I'm at the freaking love it as much as I can because it's one of my favorites. One of I mean, one of the more Ravens clutch players, I'd say. He really turned up in the run in last year and when it mattered, and playoffs when it mattered. And you can't have enough of those guys on the team. So, Mr. Rashad Bateman, congratulations to you and yours. Can't wait to watch you ball out for 5 more seasons.
Yeah. Um, just real quick to start off, or for my take on this, I love it. That was my knee jerk reaction earlier when I read the news, and what, 8 to 10 hours later, I still love it. And this is one of those things that us, not only as Ravens fans, not only as two guys who cover the Ravens and have been for the past couple of seasons, it's not just about the Ravens. It's about Rashad Bateman and the truthers and how much we've campaigned for this moment, right? Like we literally used to pray for times like this. Where Rashad Bateman was getting recognition around the league. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like earlier, just a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about how the Cowboys inquired about Rashad Bateman. You know what I mean? It just goes to show that like the league is starting to slowly but surely wake up to who Rashad Bateman is. Now, I'm not trying to make it seem like Rashad Bateman is some world beater wide receiver because he's not. He's not. I think he has potential to be, and I think that him building off of the confidence that he acquired last season, I think he can legitimately be that wide receiver one. But real quick, because I want to talk about something that I said in a YouTube short earlier today about this topic. But let me just go through and tell you Rashad Bateman's stats from the 2024 season. Right. So Rashad Bateman last season had 79 targets out of 794 snaps, which, fun fact, he outsnapped every other Ravens pass catcher last season.
Ooh.
And I know a lot of that has to do with Zay Flowers going down, with a couple of games left, because Zay Flowers is right behind him with 790, just 4 less snaps. So he would have probably outsnapped him had he played. But still, the point still stands, because if you keep going over here, he had 51 catches, 65% catch rate, 846 yards receiving, and 11 total touchdowns. 11 total touchdowns. I think in the regular season it was 9 or 10. I can't remember, but
9.
that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
nine.
one.
Okay, yeah. But he was top 10 in the league in terms of wide receivers scoring touchdowns. And that is something that I think that a lot of people really slept on his breakout season last year. A lot of people really did. But now people are waking up. Obviously, the Cowboys inquiring about him. Now the Ravens actually extending him 3 years. And like you said, this is an insane value. 36.75 million over 3 years, average of 12 million. Bro, compared to some of these other wide receivers out here, I mean, your guy, DeKalin Zacharias Metcalf, is over there making 32 million, right? This year. It's insane. It's like a night and day difference between what Rashad is getting paid and what some of these other guys who I think are better than Rashad, but not too far off. And I think that that'll especially be true after this upcoming season. Um, it's insane value. And another point that I want to make before I toss it back to you, Alex, and make sure you guys go ahead and throw how you feel about this move down in the chat below. We want to see that. And if you're watching after the fact, make sure you leave it in the comments section. We want to see what you guys have to say about this whole Rashad Bateman extension. But another thing I want to say, Alex, is that his relationship and connection and chemistry with Lamar Jackson is visibly growing. Like we saw it last season. I think a telltale moment, and I watched your highlight video that you posted this morning of Rashad Bateman. A telltale moment for me last season was the Thursday night game against the Cincinnati Bengals, right? The second game. The walk-off touchdown to Bateman, where Lamar just kind of like tosses it up, right? And turns around before he even basically like goes in the net, for lack of better words, before he catches it. I think that the faith that he has in Rashad Bateman, and then let's not even talk about the playoff touchdowns, right? Because I don't know. I mean, it's just beautiful to see Lamar Jackson have a reliable target, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs as well. Should have been 2 touchdowns against the Bills, if we're being quite honest. But he fell short on the last one. But again, the main point I'm making here is that I think that the Ravens have very, very big plans for Rashad Bateman. They know the relationship between him and Lamar Jackson is growing exponentially. I expect them to probably be working out together, maybe sooner than later. But this is just awesome news for us, man. I think that it also sets up a Zay Flowers, right?
Hmm.
It sets up Zay Flowers perfectly to kind of outperform that contract to see if he can get his second big contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, or
Yep.
his big second contract. That's how I'm looking at it. It's really chess, not checkers. But I love this move. But what else do you got for me?
I mean, I'm right there with you. I think a big thing too is like we have our receiving core set now for the next couple of years. You have Zay Bate, and then you're gonna have a question mark at wide receiver 3. LeJontay Wester, Tez Walker, Tylen Wallace, who we just signed a 1-year extension. I would love to keep Tylen. I think he has a spot on this team. You know, whether you like it or not, I think he is going to be a not a big part, but a part of this offense nonetheless. So
Yeah.
if I have to go every year with us switching a veteran wide receiver as a wide receiver three or that vet guy, I'm completely fine with that because last year showed me what Zay and Bate could do with a Nelson Aguilar at the three. And I think Hopkins will outperform him, and the way he's been looking OTAs. We will talk about that. Um, Gives me a lot of hope. As for Bateman now, he's not too far away, so he's one good year away from having some very uncomfortable conversations, and Ravens fans can really talk their talk when it
Yeah.
comes to wide receiver debates. I'm not going to do it now, but there are some guys where I look at them, I look at him, preferably in the same draft class, taking about 20 some spots ahead of him. We can make that argument. So I hope we can do it this time next year with a Super Bowl Lombardi in our hands as well. But like I said, I just couldn't be more happier. It's nice getting this done. It's well deserved, and it goes to show when he's healthy, we know he can do it. And that's 750 yards. I mean, we had a couple of blowouts last year where we weren't throwing the ball either. So
Yeah. Right.
it doesn't really tell the whole story, but 9 touchdowns in the regular season, 11 altogether. Showed up when it mattered. He was our only starter receiver in the playoffs. Won a game pretty comfortably, and you know drove us down the field. Should have 2 touchdowns honestly against the Bills.
Yeah.
It goes to show me who he is and what he can do. So I love it. EDC, hat tip to you. Thank you very much. And Lamar will be next. I'm just gonna call it now. Lamar will be the next one probably on this team to get an extension.
Yeah. Yeah. 25th best wide receiver two in the league. Get out of here, man. I don't know who came up with that list. I mean, I'm not even going to entertain that anymore. We do have a super chat donation. This one was coming from DWAS here, dropping the 2-piece in the chat. And he says, I have 2 cute cats now, Alex. How do you respond to that?
Indeed, he does, and you send me videos of them about once every couple of days. That seems odd.
He's a cat dad, man. He's a proud cat dad. And
I've
I'm
been
proud of him
wondering
for being a
as
cat
well.
dad. Yeah. That's what I mean. It takes a different type of person to be a cat dad, honestly. Like, cause me, I can't be. Like, honestly, I was traumatized by cats when I was a kid. My family, we got a cat because I really wanted a pet, and like they were just so like creepy to me, and like just like
Really?
sometimes you don't know where they are, and then they just pop up on you. Next thing they're on your neck, like sinking their claws into your skin and whatnot. I was just like I'm kind of more of a dog guy. You know what I mean? Like whatever you're doing, just do it right in front of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So I
got
can kind of keep tabs on you. But I have nothing against cats. It's just like I don't know. One like the idea of one living with me kind of freaks me out
you.
only
Really?
because I was traumatized as a child, man. I'm just saying.
I mean, I have a scar on my stomach from a cat as a kid. I still have
Oh, see, yeah,
it.
see, I wouldn't be able to deal with that. I wouldn't be able to deal with that. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
wouldn't let the cat live that one down. Well, I mean, I'm not saying I would kill the cat. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying that.
Oh,
I'm just saying like I would have to give the cat away or something like that.
yeah.
And my family did end up giving the cat away because I hated it that much. And maybe it was just that cat. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for the super chat donation, DWAS. We appreciate you as always. Let me see. Taquan is in the house. Says, "What's up, Rain Gang, Sutton, and Alex? What's going on, Taquan? Appreciate you for coming through. I see some cats are awesome.
Yeah,
Self efficient,"
self-efficient.
says Dre. That's
See,
fun. I mean, you're right. You're right about that, though.
when it snows, it rains. I don't have to go walk them. The dogs are cool though. I'm not gonna lie. Some dogs,
Yeah.
man, they really are a man's best friend. But my cats are chill. I have no problem with it. Honestly,
Yeah.
she was in here. She laid down next to me and walked away. So,
Hmm.
like you said, they'll just pop up whenever and wherever. Who knows?
Yeah. They literally have their own agency in a totally different way. It's just
It's
just
their world. I'm living
is
in it.
their world. Literally, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Perfect way to put it. But yeah. Anyways, getting back to this whole Rashod Bateman extension thing. I also wanted to bring up the fact that I think that this year in the Ravens offense, in the third year of Todd Monken, right? I think we'll see a healthier balance in personnel. So if you look back at 2023, well, let's go back to 2022, last year under Greg Roman, right? I think we ran 11 personnel, maybe only like 8% of our plays, somewhere between like 8 to 12% of our plays. And then the first year of Todd Monken, it jumps up to 48% of the plays, right? And then in 2024, ironically, first year with Derrick Henry, we want to go heavy. We want to run the ball, pound the rock, lean on teams. We come back down in 11 personnel percentage, right? So I think that this year, second year of Derrick Henry, we know what we're getting out of him, right? But we also have this stud receiver room. I mean, if you ask Ravens fans, we're good on receiver right now. I saw a story from Bleacher Report saying, "Oh, Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill should be somebody who's on the Ravens' radar. And I think our guy Hoodie Ramey said it like, we're all good here. And I agree with him.
Yep.
And I agree. Like, we're good here at receiver. I mean, Zay Flowers, Rashod Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Tylan Wallace, Tez Walker, we got LeJounte. Like, all these guys, I have faith in. And then being able to step up and actually produce for us. So I think that with the balance, getting back to a little bit more 11 personnel this year, you're going to see a lot more opportunities for Rashad Bateman. You're going to see a lot more opportunities for DeAndre Hopkins, let alone a Zay Flowers. So I think it's just all the more reason to get excited and be excited about us extending Rashad Bateman. Then, of course, also having a DeAndre Hopkins because he's going to get his opportunities too.
Yeah, I don't. For the first time, I really mean this. Like, I don't see why we need Tyreek Hill. What does he? Like, I just don't think it helps us in that way. Like, we'd have to force feed him targets when we have Derrick Henry, we have Bates, Zay, Hopkins, we have likely Andrews. I don't see where he fits in. I really don't. Um, just I'm not going to pay that contract. I'm not going to deal with that headache, and I'm not going to deal with all the field stuff either. Absolutely not. We've already been dealing with enough this offseason, and that's been exhausting. So we can stay away from that.
Yeah.
Tyreek, you made your bed in Miami. You can land it. You can play with them, but it ain't here in Baltimore. No thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it kind of reminds me of talks we had last offseason when, the whole Brandon Ayuk to Baltimore thing was like a big thing, right? And I've been on record saying multiple times, like, hey, look, man, we got Brandon Ayuk at home and Rashad Bateman. Like, let's just rock out with that and see how it goes. And we saw how it went. When it comes to the whole Tyreek Hill thing, it's like we kind of got that at home with Zay Flowers. And I think I fully expect Zay Flowers to take the next step, this upcoming season. So it really wouldn't make any sense for us to get Tyreek Hill. But yeah, I think we're all set on wide receiver. I think we're just all set on pass catcher, period, because we haven't even started talking about Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. You know what I'm saying? So this Ravens roster right now, and I think we had this conversation with the Flock Rundown on Monday about is this the best Ravens roster ever? And I was on record saying, yeah, I mean, it is. Like on paper, it is. So yeah, we'll go ahead and leave it there. Let me see what you guys are saying. Dre says here, I think Lamar with another year of consistency with the same offensive coordinator and really talented wide receivers. I really believe Lamar is capable of throwing for 50 touchdowns. Geez, 50 touchdowns is very lofty. How many did he throw last season? It was like 36 or 7 or something like that.
I think 40. He said, I think 44.
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe I'm thinking about his first MVP season, the 2019 season. It was like 37 and 6 or
41 and
something like
4.
that.
41 touchdowns, 4 picks.
41 and 4 is crazy. Did you see the stat about post Greg Roman
You
Lamar?
know, it was funny because I remember like if not Greg, then who? If not this guy, then who? And I specifically remember the people on Twitter who said it, and I'm not gonna like I don't want to say like who they are because like it's one of those people who like they can never be wrong. Like bro, like we can do better than Greg Roman, and we did. Um, like it was obvious, and I saw somebody put the video of Lamar basically spazzing out on the sideline against the Dolphins, like when he was getting cover zero to the max. And I agree with everybody, like, that should have been his final game as an offensive coordinator, like, that was honestly just it was awful. The Greg Roman offense was figured out right then and there that game, and the fact that we held him on for another year was malpractice, to say the least. But we moved on, and surprise, surprise, we are a much better offense, just gotta get over that hump, Super Bowl. But outside of that, man, like, it's this offense is just so much more dangerous and really hasn't been figured out since that Greg Roman has. But I saw a comment here from Steve-O. Tiny just stopped playing checkers when they're playing chess. Didn't like the Bills' game plan. Yeah, some of his stuff in the game plan I didn't like. We used Derrick Henry a lot in the second half. Like he was running down their throats. I'm like, where was this the first half? We could have easily done that. Um, this other stuff too, like the defense, they just dropped guys in the coverage, and that was it because we had, I think, Steven Sims and Anthony Miller out there. But if he can improve on that, we can go a lot further than just divisional round.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Um, it really comes down to in the playoffs, we dig ourselves in a hole.
Hmm.
That's what it comes down to. And if we can kind of alleviate some of those turnovers, and a lot of that has to do with Lamar Jackson pressing. He looks like he presses a lot. Not just in playoff games, but like those big playoff games. You guys know which ones I'm talking about. Basically, Bills or Chiefs, right? Because that's what it is in the AFC right now. It's Bills, Chiefs, Ravens. Like So we're gonna have to go through either one of them or both of them in order to make it to a Super Bowl. And it seems like in those games he kind of presses. And I think that a Todd Monken, to Steve O's point here, could kind of alleviate some of that by running the ball a little bit more. Like you said, in the second half, they could not stop us running the football against the Bills, that divisional game, 2024. They couldn't stop us. So it's just like, yeah, like where was some of that in the first half? But hindsight is always going to be 2020. He does say here also we need to run on 3rd and 5 plus yards throughout the season to keep defenses guessing. That's also a tricky one for me too, Steve-O, because I can see a lot of 3rd and 5s where Derrick Henry gets stuffed for 3 yards and then we're punting. You know what I mean? And like fans would probably be in an uproar because of that. I know I would be in certain spots. Like 3rd and 5, let Lamar do something with it. Let Lamar run hell, or let Lamar, you know, make a play like that, because that's what he does. That's his strength, right? I'm always an advocate of keeping the ball in Lamar Jackson's hand, whether that's him, throwing the football or running the football. I fully trust both. On 3rd and 5, we have such a talented receiving core. There should be no way, as long as blocking holds up, there should be no way that Lamar couldn't either find somebody or find an open room to pick up the first down. I don't necessarily like the idea of just like running it up the gut on 3rd and 5. That's just me. That's just me. But okay, let's go ahead and move right along here to our second topic of the episode, which is going to be some news that also dropped today. This was some big news. Also, AFC North, we're keeping it in the division, right? But before we get to that, we do have another super chat donation. This one's coming from Eli, the sports guy. What's going on, Eli? Appreciate you for coming through, making it rain here on episode 313 of PRP. Eli says Ravens defense has not forced a turnover since 2020 in the playoffs. That is crazy.
Yeah. And that's why, we've made some changes to the coaching, bringing in a Pagano, bringing in other guys, and bringing some personnel, Malachi Starks, Chidobe Owozie, so guys like that. But yeah, that's a big reason why we haven't won the bowl yet, is because we were just don't get our offensive field position, which we talked about in length on Monday, and just taking our defense off the field. That just is frustrating. So if you want to win the bowl, you got to get turnovers. I hope the defense knows this. I know they know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really all it boils down to. Like, protect the ball and turn the other team over. That's what it is. But yeah, very good point, Eli, and thank you so much for the super chat donation. We appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get into our next topic, which is Aaron Rodgers is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler now. So this is not like the most shocking news because it's been speculated for the past couple of months that he's going to go to Pittsburgh, but in classic Aaron Rodgers dramatic fashion, he made us all wait. He kind of dragged us along through the offseason. So here we are in June, June 5th it is today, and he has finally agreed to terms with the Pittsburgh Steelers, our rival, our Baltimore Ravens rival. And I want to get, Alex, your opinion on this. What was your knee-jerk reaction to hearing that Aaron Rodgers is now a Pittsburgh Steeler? Uh-oh. I think we lost Alex. I think we lost Alex. I'll give him a second to join back here. But yeah, guys. So look, Aaron Rodgers is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I'll just give you my reaction of it now. Good luck, Aaron Rodgers, surviving the AFC North pass rush. Right? I do know that one of the best pass rushers is on his team in the TJ Watt. But when you look around the rest of the AFC North, right? When you look around the rest of the AFC North, you've got the Ravens, who have got Odafe Owe, Kyle Van Noy, and now a Mike Green. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are going to be getting after Aaron Rodgers, and he's not mobile anymore. Let's just call it what it is. Like, he's going to be a statue back there. So if DK Metcalf is not creating like immediate separation, then I just don't know exactly what his real game is going to be. And Alex, I was just saying, like, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a statue in the pocket, and the AFC North pass rush is going to be all over him. Like I mentioned, Odafe Owe, who's a speed demon, right, and is also putting on weight. He looks very beefy now, right? Like, if he gets to Aaron Rodgers, I have no doubt that he can bring him down. Josh Allen's a little bit tougher, right? He's younger, he's bigger, a little bit more physical, but my guy, Aaron Rodgers, man, He's not that anymore. You go over to the Bengals, right? They've got Trey Hendrickson, led the league in sacks last year. I think that it's going to be very, very tough sledding for the Steelers. And this is just, again, man, this is just another. The Steelers, they put off quarterback so much. Like it's just not important. It's crazy to
Yep.
me. They
Yep.
don't treat it like it's a position of importance. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Before you dropped off, you were saying something about Aaron Rodgers. What was your
You're good.
reaction to this?
He's not gonna make it. I think to like the second time we play him, he won't make it the full season. I just don't see it happening
Well,
at
the
all.
first time we play him is week 14, right?
Yeah, that's. I mean, they always do up the Ravens Steeler games. We might not see him at all, honestly. The way I think it's gonna go, um, I'm not really worried about it. I'm kind of happy because I didn't like him at all before. I don't like him even more now. He plays for the Steelers, so um, it's funny. Like you get rid of Pickens because he's drama. I don't know what you want to call Aaron Rodgers is with drama because he's kind of the same. You better hope he doesn't go on Pat McAfee show, all that, because it was happening last year and he had to stop going on there because the Jets were so bad. But this just doesn't scare me. Like the Steelers, they're gonna maybe start off like 2-2. They'll rip off 3 to 4 wins. They'll have people believing, thinking they're a good team,
Right.
which they might be. Then they're gonna lose a bunch, and then they're gonna go probably be underdogs like week 16, 17. Got to win to make it in, and they probably won't. But they'll go over 500 to keep that streak up. Maybe they might go 8-1. They might tie a game. Who knows? I'm just not really scared at all. Say that right.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. I mean, and you talk about drama in the locker room. Number one, last time I checked, Deshaun Elliott is still a Steeler. Is he still a Steeler? I'm
He
pretty sure
is.
he's still a Steeler. And last time I checked, Deshaun Elliott was on the record saying that we do not want Aaron Rodgers.
Mm,
Right. So I think that there's already going to be sort of like a disconnect between Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the guys because if I'm a young Steelers fan or if I'm just like a not Steelers fan but if I'm a Steelers player, right? If I'm in that locker room and you get this guy Aaron Rodgers who's been at this point kind of bounced around a little bit to a few teams and this guy's coming and he's not 100% locked into football anymore. I mean, the guy was just on the Joe Rogan podcast last week calling out LeBron James for being at Diddy parties. I mean, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy Aaron Rodgers is he's more of like he wants to be a media darling, it feels like. He wants to
yeah.
be like in the headlines. He wants to be talked about. He wants to, talk about his opinions. I think there's just so much going on and I don't know Aaron Rodgers personally, obviously. But this is a podcast where we speculate on things, so that's what I'm doing right now. Based off of the evidence that I've seen from Aaron Rodgers and the things that he talks about and the things that he chooses to let come to the forefront about him in the media, I don't think that he's 100% locked in on football right now. And I think that him and Mike Tomlin could possibly like butt heads at some point. Um, I'm sure that Aaron Rodgers is very fond of Mike Tomlin, and that might be one of the reasons why he is going to Pittsburgh. And I understand that. But man, I think that it's going to be eggshells. I think it's going to be eggshells before we start hearing stuff coming out of that Pittsburgh camp that like, hey, some of the guys in the locker room aren't really feeling Aaron Rodgers too much. Aaron Rodgers seems like he doesn't really care that much because it doesn't seem like he cares all that much anymore. It just doesn't. It seems like he's just playing football because he knows he still can sling he can sling it. And but how much of a contender does this really make the Pittsburgh Steelers is the question that I'm asking myself if I'm a Steelers fan. And the answer to that question for me, if I'm a Steelers fan, and also from the outside looking in as a Ravens fan, it doesn't make them contenders. It doesn't. Like you said, they could easily go 8-1, maybe tie a game against the Browns or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, man, we take it for what it is. Again, my final thing on it is that good luck getting away from the AFC North pass rush. Those defenses are a lot different from the ones in the AFC East, and they're a lot different from all the ones in the NFC. So good luck.
Yeah. I'm gonna call it what he is. He's a distraction, nonetheless. Um,
Sure, yeah.
that's 100% what he is. He's gonna go on one of his little trips on the bye week. Maybe got some salts in the system. Do whatever you want to do. Um, I mean, I'm just really not scared of them. Like I said, they'll win. They'll win their games, but I know if they are in the same way they can call us chokers, they might know what we are. But I saw them the biggest game last year drop a stinker in the playoffs, so I'm not really that worried. I think T.J. Watt wants a new contract as well. They got to deal with that. Defensive wise, DBs aren't looking the best for them. I don't know what their game plan on offense is. You have to force feed DK Metcalf. They're trying to sign. Gabe Davis trying to trade for Jonnu Smith. Like, I just don't know what the priorities in Pittsburgh are right now. Um, but winning doesn't seem like one of them.
Yeah, and like my thing is for Aaron Rodgers, like his quarterback clock is going to be very, very sped up because I think the pace and the game speed of defenses in the AFC North is just different from anything that he's experienced in his career, like regularly, like on a regular basis, where you're playing these teams twice this season, the Ravens twice this season, the Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, all three very physical teams, right? All three, I mean, not all three, but all three have a good pass rush, a solid pass rush, right? So I think that with the weapons that we see him already having there, and DK Metcalf obviously being wide receiver one, he's not, you know, as far as I know about DK Metcalf, he's not like the best route runner where like he can get open in a split second. Like you want him down the field. You want to toss it up to him. You want him to catch the 50-50 ball, that sort of thing, or maybe go over the middle because he's got the size for it. But I just think that again, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be under a lot of duress. He's going to be under a lot of pressure, and it's going to be tough on those third and longs to get somebody the ball on some of these like later developing routes. You know, that's just what I think. Um, Cam says here Aaron Rodgers might be a good vet for Will Howard, which is the Steelers' rookie quarterback. If that is what the Steelers are thinking, um, I, I mean, are we
Is he
talking
gonna
role
mentor?
model? This
Is
seems
he gonna
like
mentor him?
that's what I'm saying. Remember when we got Lamar Jackson originally? You know where I'm going with this. And Joe
Yeah,
Flacco, he came out publicly and said like it's not my job to mentor him or something like that, something along those
yeah,
lines, right? And the media was in an uproar, a frenzy, whatever, because we didn't really expect that from Joe. We thought Joe would take the route of like, oh yeah, I'm going to take him under my wing, yada yada yada, whoopie woo. Aaron Rodgers is that, but we already know that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't see Aaron Rodgers spending extra hours in the film room with Will Howard just saying like, hey, like, you know, you need to check it down to this, you need to do this when that happens. I don't see that. Like you said, he probably is going to go off on one of his trips. He's probably going to go. He's living the young bachelor lifestyle. That's another thing
yeah.
about Aaron Rodgers. He's living the bachelor lifestyle. He does what he wants when he wants. He's on podcasts here. He's doing Jeopardy there. Like his mind is not all the way locked into football. So outside of just showing up and being the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 1 p.m. or 4 p.m. CBS games, maybe a couple primetime games. That's it. That's all you're getting from Aaron Rodgers, right? You're getting the arm talent, and that is it. You're not getting super great veteran leadership. You're not getting a guy who's going to usher in the next generation of quarterbacks for the Steelers. You're not getting any of that, right? You're getting that arm. You're getting that right arm out of Aaron Rodgers, and that is absolutely it.
Yeah, you better get the washed athlete video compilation ready with the jazz music in the background with Aaron Rodgers. You're gonna make that comp. I'm tell you that right now. He'll be in that.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it. Also, worth mentioning. Go man, what's going on, Go man? Says
Well,
Rodgers been ducking Lamar for a while. Now what's up? So I mean, yeah, that's another thing. Lamar Jackson has never gone head to head with Aaron Rodgers in his career. So this will be the first time. Granted, you know, if everybody's healthy come week 14, knock on wood, we want everybody to stay healthy. But yeah, that'll be an interesting thing as well.
yeah.
Let me see what else we got. And not to mention, again, it's just like for me, and I've seen a lot of people speculating about this, and I want to get your take on it, Alex. They're saying that the Steelers, as we've seen, quarterback carousel in the past couple of years. What we're talking about: Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and now Aaron Rodgers, right? And I'm probably missing one along the way, to be honest with you. But a lot of people are saying like, oh yeah, they're just gonna go for a 1 year deal with Aaron Rodgers, use him as kind of like a bridge quarterback because next year's draft, which also happens to be held in Pittsburgh, is gonna be a much better and deeper quarterback class. So maybe they're holding out for next year's draft, and maybe that's when they'll try to get their franchise guy, and that's if Aaron Rodgers doesn't miraculously turn back the clocks, or that's if Will Howard is not inserted and he just lights the league on fire, which I don't really see either of those things happening necessarily. That might be their route in planning for next year's draft in Pittsburgh to get a quarterback. What are your thoughts?
Um, they said that last year. Because trade away Kenny Pickett, so they're gonna rock with Russ and Fields. They might sign Fields, if he does good. Trying to be a bust. Surprise, surprise. Don't know how I got the money from the Jets. Year 5 or 6, and he was being treated like a gadget player. We'll never understand that. Well, they might, they're gonna draft Shador, pass on him like 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
Could have traded up if they like Dart. Didn't get him. Didn't grab anybody else. They grabbed Will Howard. Don't know if that would be their guy. Arch Manning, I know next year possibly, um, if he does go to Texas. I'm not too sure, but I
Right.
don't know what their game plan's looking like. But I'm happy, it's not us because they are aging in places, and I know they made the playoffs last year, but it might be a different team this year. I'm not gonna talk too much. Just look at their roster.
Yeah.
There's holes, and age will get some of these guys.
And by the way, what's going on is Modius, a member here on the channel. Appreciate you for coming through. Purple Rain Pioneer in true respects there. All right, so let's go ahead and shift gears here to our last remaining topic of the episode, which is going to be some Ravens OTAs updates, right? So the Ravens have been in OTAs the past couple of days. There's been some news coming out from the beat writers. There's been a couple of media pieces, some pictures, some videos, things like that. But Alex, I want to go to you first here. Like over the past couple of days, what has been some of the news coming out of Ravens OTAs that has really stood out to you the most?
I think maybe just like the whole D Hop stuff, looking back at like how fast and how good he's looked. I don't want to, get happy and excited over, pants and t shirt, but it is good to see considering, said he lost a step, being up there with some of those guys. That's really big to see. And then honestly, having our rookies practice, I know as crazy as it sounds, I see Shamar Thornton, Cincy. I'm like, we could be in a lot worse position. Uh, and compared to what we needed from Mike Green and our edge, we kind of said that was a weaker point. And you said, if we didn't get an edge first, second round, it's a D plus best. And I agree with you there. Like, we need those guys to step up. We need to start forcing pressures to get turnovers. That's huge. And just seeing those guys out there and most of our, big time players all being there at voluntary OTAs, it's very nice to see because years prior, it was a big story. It was all over NFL Network, ESPN. Why isn't this guy there? Um, everybody's locked in, and I think they know how close we are to getting to the major goal. So I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think the biggest thing that you said there for me is the fact that there's been a lot of buy-in, this off season, especially after how last season ended, and the players have talked about that. I think Kyle Van Noy talked about it. A couple of other guys I can't quite remember, but they're all pretty much sharing the same sentiment. Like, hey, look, like we're tired of coming, second fiddle or third fiddle to the Chiefs and the Bills and the AFC. Like, we need to break through, and whatever we can do, whether that means, whether that means the entire team, pretty much, or like 97% of the starters are here in voluntary OTAs, not even mandatory minicamp, not none of that. Like we're talking voluntary OTAs. Guys are showing up. Starting quarterback is showing up. The entire defense is showing up. Um, has there been any more news on Falele in the past couple of days? I don't think there has been because I know last week he was out because of quote unquote physical issues or something like that.
Yeah,
John Harbaugh said, and I don't think that he's been back. But yeah, you also bring up the point of DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins we talked about with Ryan on Monday, Flock Rundown. We talked with him about the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is looking like he might be able to turn those clocks back. And I just talked about maybe 20 minutes ago how I think that the Ravens are going to run a lot more 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end, which allows for an extra wide receiver on the field. Um, which means that DeAndre Hopkins is going to get his opportunities. I mean, I think back to when Odell Beckham Jr. was a Raven, and I know I've talked about this before too at length, but Lamar Jackson made a concerted effort to get that guy the ball. Like he wants to get his veterans involved. Hell, I mean, even with Nelson Aguilar, right? Nelson Aguilar made his impacts, right? Catching passes in some big spots for the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson trusted him to do so. So I have no doubt in my mind that he'll definitely be looking DeAndre Hopkins' way, and it's very promising to see that it doesn't look like he's really dropped off too much. So as Modia says, he thought he heard Falele was back. I hadn't seen that news
yeah. I don't
myself.
see it. I'm looking here, but I just have some notes from today.
Okay, yeah.
Um, Jalen Armour Davis is getting reps at safety. They think he's like they say he's one of the smartest players on the defense. Um, we had John Gruden was at practice today. Um, he watched 11 on 11 drills near Munkin. Gruden dapped up running back Derrick Henry during practice and later walked outside with Odafe Owe. Um, and then Andrew Voorhees is getting action at left guard. And then Ben Cleveland returned to practice. I think he missed Tuesday's practice. So nothing too crazy. That's all they really gave us. Because I think they can only record once. I know the media can once a week. So not too much going on. But and Mike Green, they say, is looking very quick out there. So it's practice. Don't want to buy too much into it, but it's just good stuff to hear.
Yeah, definitely all positive news. Everybody's out there staying healthy for the most part. So far, of course, we still got mini camp, training camp, preseason, all of that. So just praying for a clean bill of health for our Ravens going into the season. That's really what it is, to be honest with you, at this point. But no, one thing that I do like about what you said, Mike Green, of course, like you said, it's not against anybody, but he's looking young, he's looking quick out there, he's looking athletic, and that's very promising to hear. Hoping that he can turn into one of those players that really makes an impact in his rookie season because he does play a premium position. And I also expect Adafe Owe to take that next step as well. Interesting enough that he talked to John Gruden. I guess that was like a one-on-one private chat between him and Gruden. Um, we'll love to know what they spoke about, but Adafe Owe, I'm done slandering Adafe Owe. Okay, I've done it enough. I felt like I had to like kind of bully him to kind of bring out the best in
Tough
him.
love.
It's
I
a
got
little
it.
tough love, a little tough love. I used to call Adafe Owe the preseason champion. You know what I'm saying, or like the training camp champ. Like because he was always all over the place. The beat writers would just rave about him. Adafe Owe this, Adafe Owe that. Looks great, and then you get into the season, it's just like. Where's the production, right? And we know he does a ton of things well, but where is the actual production, like on paper, And we got that last season. We got that from him last season, albeit, a lot of his sacks, people will say, came in, maybe garbage time or maybe not as important games, things like that. I think he has 2 career sacks in the playoffs, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I expect him to build on that. I expect him to build on that. And I think him gaining the weight will make him a little bit more physical, getting past and shedding tackles, and then being able to bring down some of those bigger quarterbacks. And I think I mentioned that on the last episode of the show as well. But another thing coming out of training camp that I wanted to mention, and this is kind of like a 2-part thing that we're going to have to pick up on the next episode because Jeff Zrebiec tweeted earlier today. He said Ravens have mostly been rotating days for their 2 rookie kickers as they look to settle on a long-term replacement for Justin Tucker. Today was John Hoyland's day, and he struggled early in practice. Hoyland went 3 of 6, making from 42, 39, and 46 yards out, and he missed from 56, 51, and 49. Okay. So obviously, I think that means that Tyler Loop will be up on deck tomorrow, and he'll kick, and we'll see how he's looking early on in camp. I'll be a lot more interested to see how Tyler Loop performs, and of course John Hoyland, because I think the idea is that the first Ravens kicker that they've ever drafted, we're going to trot him out there on Sundays to make kicks for us. So we'll have to follow that. Of course, we'll follow that on the next episode of the show. But yeah, what else? What else do you have for me?
Yeah, that's interesting. The whole switching back and forth, but
Yeah,
you gotta trust him at that point. But I'm not really surprised Corley missed it because he's undrafted. If it's Loop, I'm a little worried. So,
yeah,
like I said, tomorrow I actually will be looking out for that. I hope we see something good. Maybe 6 or 7, and his only miss was like a long 60 yard. That stuff you can work on.
right.
But I want to see anything 50 and below, nailing them. Anything above that, hopefully we're looking a lot better. But like Dre says here, Loop is our guy. I expect him to be the kicker come week 1. So right now it's just good they're both getting reps, and who knows, we can maybe make something else. Hoyland guy, get a pick for him, a late day 3 pick. But as of right now, it's all speculation. Like I said, Loop will be out there week 1.
Yeah. Um, One more thing I wanted to bring up coming out of Ravens camp, and this was today. Reporters were interviewing defensive coordinator Zach Orr. And Zach Orr said, and I quote, "I'm excited about the young guys. We're throwing a lot at them and they're picking it up really well." End quote. I think that is something that, let me just put it like this. I am very excited to see year 2 of Zach Orr as our defensive coordinator. After the adjustments that were made, post week 10 last
Mhm.
season, the defense was night and day. And as we all know, Kyle Hamilton was put on the back end of the secondary, and that ended up kind of really working out for us. Now throwing in a Malachi Starks, right? Throwing in a Mike Green, right there on the defensive line. Then seeing what Adafe Owe is going to do. But just sticking to the young guys, man, I think that also the inclusion of Chuck Pagano, who is somebody he also talked about today as well. He said Chuck Pagano, he's not just like some old guy who's in here just kind of giving his 2 cents every now and then. Like, no, he's still got that football fire in him, and we're gonna need that in order for him to coach up these guys, these young guys, hard, man. And I know that's exactly what they're doing, but the fact of the matter is, I think we bought in Chuck Pagano to kind of teach turnovers. Right, that was one of the big reasons why we wanted to bring him in, because we got to start turning these teams over a lot more. And if we can get these young guys in the mindset and mentality early that that's what we're here to do, I think it'll bode well for our team in the long run. And Dre says here, agreeing with me, says Zach Orr's second year, I see a big jump. Yeah, this might be the year where Zach Orr has such a good performance as defensive coordinator that he starts getting calls about head coaching positions around the league. We'll see. We'll see. But Zach Orr and I think that entire defense is in really good hands with the coaching staff that they have there, from Zach Orr himself to Chuck Pagano to Dr. Rush, all those guys. You know what I mean? So big expectations about for the defense coming up this year.
Yeah, and we look at the defense second half of last year after that week 10. Like, I think the Eagles game, we lost 24-19. I got to take that with a little grain of salt because we had to sell out to stop them and try to stop the run, and Saquon got through a hole and scored that touchdown. But I thought they played the Eagles pretty well defensively. Texans game holding them honestly to 0 points defensively. There was that safety. What's going on, Roosh? Uh, Obviously, Sutton Steelers down, really no trouble. Browns, I'm not going to count that. Giants, not going to count that. But after that, let me pull up those games last year that the teams we played. Uh, so after that Bengals game, holding the Steelers to 6 field goals, Chargers to 23 points. They did score a garbage touchdown. Eagles 24, and then after that, we just really held teams down. And then the Bills scoring 27. Offense didn't help them out with turnovers. It was very promising to say the least. So with
Yeah.
what we added and what we're going to do with year two and adding Chuck Pagano and then also the DB coach from Kansas City as well, forgot about him. Um, some
Hmm.
real good additions on that the coaching standpoint. I'm looking forward to it. They will have a much
Yeah.
better defense. It won't be like last year starting off. It won't be it. It won't be bad.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah, we'll continue to go ahead and monitor OTAs as more news comes out of Ravens camp. We got mini camp starting soon, then of course training camp after that, preseason, and then we are back, baby. I mean, like officially.
Slow. Let's
Can't
slow
wait
it
to see.
down. I don't want
Right.
to. I don't want to yet. I don't want to yet.
I man, I do. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm missing football right now. Basketball is about to be over. NBA Finals starts tonight, literally in like 15 minutes. Game one between the Pacers and the Thunder. I'm picking the Thunder to win this series. Just we're kind of off the OTA topic now. We can just kind of start talking about whatever to end the show. But yeah, I definitely think that the Thunder are going to go ahead and win the series. I think they get the blowout tonight over the Pacers in OKC. But yeah, I'm going with the Thunder to win this one.
I barely watch. Uh,
Now, what I will say is that I was on TikTok yesterday, and I know you're a big hockey guy, but I,
get
I learned
into it.
about this guy. I learned about this guy named Connor McDavid,
Yep.
right?
He's
Who I
cold.
think he plays for the Oilers.
No pun intended.
That guy, bro, I was looking at some of his highlights. I was like, do I need to start watching? Like, do I need to start tuning in? Because this guy was just saucing with it. Like, I've never seen a hockey player, and granted, I don't watch a whole lot of hockey. I used to when I was younger, but not anymore. But I have never seen a hockey player with that much kind of like creativity to his game. Like this guy is hitting like between the leg shots and like crossing dudes over. Like it looks like he's almost playing basketball out there. Like it's crazy. He's kind of reinventing the offensive side of hockey. But what are your thoughts?
He's cold. Like that. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. He's a really good player, and the Panthers are a really good team as well. It wasn't surprised they're back in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Oilers beat a good Stars team as well. So that I'll be watching the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm gonna try to watch the NBA Finals, see if I can catch a game or two. Uh, but either way, hopefully both series are competitive. I hope they are for both sports standpoints because basketball to a point feels like it's dying, so it could really use a good series to
Yeah,
help revive it. And they showed to me feels like it's on the come up, so that could use a good series to really get some more fans.
no, for sure, for sure. Um, I think your mic came out,
We
but
good?
yeah, I can hear you a little better now. It's like a little staticky in the background, but now I don't hear it anymore. Okay. But yeah, just a couple things I want to bring up from the chat before we get out of here. Again, thank y'all so much for watching this episode of the show. Make sure you like the video, please. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are enjoying this Ravens content. Imani says here, shout out to Imani. Hope you're doing well. Says, bait 1,000 yards this season. That's very. I think it's a little lofty for me. I just got up here and I said, I think the Ravens will run a lot more 11 personnel. So I think that Rashod Bateman will get even more snaps than he got this past season, which he got 794 snaps this past season, leading all Ravens pass catchers in snaps. I think he'll have more opportunities this season. So 1,000 yards. I mean, it's just. I just do also think that there's going to be more of a concerted effort to get Zay Flowers involved. I mean, and that's another thing that came out of OTAs that we didn't talk about, Alex. I mean, Todd Monken said himself, like, we want to get him the ball more. Zay Flowers, that is, and that's very promising. But I do not want them to discount Rashod Bateman. I want to see plays drawn up for Rashod Bateman as well because he really started to get his confidence and he really started to cook, especially in the later half of that season, even going into the playoffs, man, like just scoring touchdowns. Like, you don't get a whole lot of Ravens wide receivers who are just scoring touchdowns in the playoffs. You just don't. You just don't. So it's like, I can see in 1,000 yard season, I can. But there's only one football to go around, and there's a lot of mouths to feed. A lot of mouths to feed. I mean, we're talking like a lot of people are talking like they want to see Isaiah Likely take a bigger role and kind of out snap or outpace Mark Andrews in terms of like what we're drawing up for him, right? So I don't know, man. Bateman, he very well could get 1,000, but he's gonna have to have some really big games. Like he's gonna have to have like some signature, you know what I mean, like best game of his career, like damn near 200 yards one game or something like
Jamar
that.
Chase games, basically.
Yeah, he's gonna have a couple of those, right? Some Jamar Chase games, exactly. Um, but yeah, what else do we have here? Jeremiah says, I have Bateman and Flowers close to 1,200 or more for real. I don't understand how the offense gets stopped if the O line just maintains. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Lamar Jackson with a clean pocket, deadly. Even Lamar Jackson with a muddy pocket, still deadly. So I mean, those guys are definitely going to have their opportunities. I just think that Zay Flowers is going to probably be leaned on a little bit more. Granted, if he stays healthy, they're going to lean on him a little bit more. I don't think we'll see as many of like the screens and things like that because I know a lot of Ravens fans did not like that, me included. I think Alex also agrees. But yeah, get him down the field. Get him down the field. Let him catch it in space. Let him turn up field and let him get north. I think that's something that he's really working on this offseason is not going east to west, side to side as much, but just getting north towards the end zone. Like that is what the Ravens need, right? So yeah, but you're right, Jeremiah. I mean, the O line has to maintain for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want us to be there to be honest. That means we're throwing too much. I want a healthy mixture. If he
Mm.
gets 8 900, I'm cool with that, and Zay gets it around the same, maybe 1,000. Cool with that because that's kind of what we got last year. I just want Derrick Henry to get his. Um, yeah, man, I'm just excited for the season. I'll take it slow, but I like what we're building right now. Looking nice.
Yeah, so we have another comment here. This one's coming from the King of Crank. What's going on? Appreciate you for coming through joining this episode 313 of PRP. King of Crank says, isn't it still shocking that Lamar Jackson still has never had a stud wide receiver in their prime? I think every top 10 quarterback has at one point. What do you think about that, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. You bring the big names. You can go down to everybody, and they've had that guy. And I know we love our guys, but they aren't top 10 in the league, unfortunately. I hope they are. I mean, they're a good season maybe away from it. I don't think Zay will ever get the respect due to his size, and he's not a Tyreek Hill. He doesn't have the touchdowns that Tyreek got. Um, I think Bateman has a better chance of being looked at as that guy than Zay due to his build. But I just don't think we throw enough and give him enough targets for him to get 13, 1,400 yards like some of these guys get.
That's true too. That's true too. I think it has more so to do with the Ravens' philosophy than more so the talent that we have because I do think that if Zay Flowers can break off a couple of those like big like game breaking like again I'll reference the Broncos game where he has that big touchdown. If he can have a couple of plays like that, then he will, you said we're going to have an uncomfortable conversation about this and that when it comes to Rashod Bateman. I think a lot of the league is going to have an uncomfortable conversation about Zay Flowers if he does make some more of those game-breaking plays, especially early on in the season. And that will be the stud wide receiver in their prime that Lamar Jackson has. I think they're fully capable. It's just Todd Monken, man. Todd Monken, he's got his work cut out for him, man. It's just like, where do you go? Like, do I want Derrick Henry to run the football? Do I want to throw it to our all-pro type and young stud Isaiah Likely? Do I want to go to um do I want to go to Zay Flowers? Do I want to go to Rashod Bateman? Do I want to go to DeAndre Hopkins? There's just or do I want to let my quarterback keep it and do his thing? Like there's just so many options on this Ravens roster. It's hard for anybody to really kind of like stand out and be that guy. Um, they just got so much talent. They've just got so much talent, man. They do. But yeah. All right. So thank you for your comment, King of Crank. Hopefully that answered your question. But we're gonna go ahead and leave it here for this episode 313 of PRP. Again, thank y'all so much for coming through this episode, man. Thank you for rocking out with us in the dead of the off season, where there's not a whole lot of news, but we know the NFL never sleeps, so there's always something to talk about. So make sure you stay locked into the PRP channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Be on the lookout for any YouTube shorts that come out. And yeah, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through episode 313 of the Purple Rain Podcast. Love you. Appreciate you. And as always, stay positive, test negative.
Yes, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. It's episode 313 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.